Thank you. I think it's very important to put issues in perspective. There's nothing like any conspiracy theory at all. You see, three things happened in Nigeria in 2013, but people paid scant attention to them. The first was on the 31st of July 2013, the day that INEC approved the merger of the defunct ACN, defunct AMPP, defunct CPC, and part of ABGA. Now, from that moment, the political calculation in Nigeria everywhere changed forever. Exactly a month later, another event happened. That was the implosion within the PDP that led to 7 of their governors and some of their leaders walking out of the mini convention of the party and led to the birth of the short-lived new PDP. Finally, on the 25th of November that same year, 5 of those governors and many of the legislators came to formally join the APC. From that moment from that point in history, the political history of Nigeria had been rewritten. Now, for those who are talking about conspiracy theory, the merger included people from the southeast, south-south, northwest, northeast, and north central, and southwest. With the result that by the time APC was formed, there was no zone of the federation. We didn't have either senators, we didn't have senate legislators or governors. Now, if you look at what happened last Saturday, elections were most hotly contested in Rivers, in Imo, in Edo. As a matter of fact, today, and I'm happy that even your introduction, you raised the issue of both Imo and Rivers. But what really happened was that while the card reader was used extensively in the southwest, in the northwest, and north central and northeast, it was hardly allowed to be used in the south-south and the southeast. And if elections were free everywhere, it was less free.
Hardly, when you say hardly allowed, as though some people were deliberately stopping the use of the card.
No, look, you see, with due respect, if you look at what happened, even in Bayelsa, when Mr. President wanted to use the card reader, the failure of the card reader in Bayelsa was too significant. And shortly after, we heard that they said if the card reader fails, you can go manual. Now, it is important for us to look at issues. When the merger was being formed, the merging parties were neither northern parties, nor southern parties, nor eastern parties. The merging parties were the registered parties in Nigeria, and they invited people from every part of the country. And I would quickly want to also, make a response to Barrister Aliku Bakari's, submission about whether this president could have stopped elections when they saw those underage people voting. Number one, so they established who they were voting for. Secondly, Mr. President has no power to stop an election. That's the honest truth. You see, we should not push things out of perspective. Mr. President did a fantastic thing. A thing that will be remembered for forever. And he has set a precedent. So much so that in future, Nigerians will take it for granted that if you lose the election, you have to concede defeat. And that, I think, is more important, if not as important, as saving the country from imminent collapse.
Okay, Mrs. Bakare, let's bring in Mrs. Bakare. Mrs. Bakare, you have something to say about the conspiracy theory, North-South conspiracy theory, and yes, please.
I want to believe that if there was no conscious conspiracy, it would appear that there is one. I'm aware that there couldn't have been a situation where anybody would sit down and say, in the north, let us do this, in the south, let us do this, southwest, let us do this. But definitely, from the look of things, from the results, where we had bulk votes from one section, bulk votes from another section, it would appear, in quote, that there was some conspiracy, or unconsciously, people were divided in their votes in the line of region and whatever. So I want to believe that it might not have been conscious, but definitely it looks like, it appears that there is some subliminal effort at, voting according to region.
Okay, but does it are there signs that it's Nigeria's democracy is moving forward? Because there are those who wonder, are we practicing the democracy in the true tenet, or in the true word, or in the true meaning of the word democracy?
Well, we're trying. Like everybody says, it's still a nurture. We're nurturing it. We're nurturing it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a sitting president losing an election, and immediately, even before the end of the coalition, saying, yes, I accept defeat. So I think we are nurturing this, and it will get better by the day.
Okay, Mr. Additional.
Yes, I was just going to add another point to buttress, the point I made earlier, that the issue of conspiracy theory does not arise. Some of us have argued over and over again that for a true democracy to work, we need two dominant political parties in Nigeria.
Two or more.
Two dominant political parties. Then you can have as many, but two dominant political parties. So that when one is in power, the other can as well be described as waiting to take over power. In 1993, there was an election in this country, which so many people have referred to as the freest and the fairest. I think this one is better than what we had in 1993. But the question I always ask is, excuse me, why do we always refer to 1993 election as the fairest? There were two political parties. We had the NRC and we had the SDP. And at that time, it was the SDP that, was coasting home to victory, that was believed to have won the election, So we can have as many political parties as possible because of fundamental rights of anybody to belong to whichever party that he desires, or with the understanding that, well, you can even contest an election in your locality or in your region without contesting an election at the national. But a situation where you have one dominant party, as we had between 1999, and last year, or 2 years ago, 2013, was favorable to that dominant party winning and winning and winning all over again. So, by the time that merger took place in 2013, we knew that there was going to be something different, and people were praying that somehow, that merger should be kept together, So, people should not be very surprised at the result of this election, because I think the build-up to the election, points to what we have seen. And there was also hardly an individual who didn't say that the margin of victory was going to be very, very narrow. In 2011, the winner had about 22 million votes, and the next to him had 12 million, a difference of 10 million votes. This time around, it's about 2.5 million. But victory is victory, and it's not the number, But it shows that it was a keen interest. And I don't think that one can say that we have not had real democracy at play in this election. We have had it.